Have you ever noticed that certain things, people, or places can lift you up or drain you? Hi, I'm Tanya, and welcome to another episode of Beyond the Threshold, where this week, as promised, we're going to talk about positive influence audits, where we increase our self-awareness and begin to build the life that we want. A positive influence audit will allow us to emphasize what we want and limit what we don't want. And of course, we have to first figure out what those two things are and where they are in our lives. Hopefully, this audit will allow us to improve our energy, increase our focus, and spend more time on the things that we like. For example, when I did a positive influence audit on my life and I looked at my habits, I decided that I was going to cut out alcohol. And that has really increased the positive in my life. I feel much better and I have more time and more energy for the things that I love. What is the process for creating a positive influence audit? The first step is to create a list of areas that you would like to review. You could include things such as people, environment, activities, content, habits, and internal monologue. So people are the people you spend your time with. Environments, where are you spending your time? Activities, what are you doing with your time? Content, what are you consuming? Habits, those are the things that you probably do without even thinking too much. And your internal monologue, what are you saying to yourself? And that's a big one because that's who you spend most of your time with. Then you're going to, under each of the influences that you've decided to audit, you're going to list all of them. And then you're going to label them as either positive, neutral, or negative. So for example, if I was doing it for myself and I did habits, like I said, if I list having an alcoholic beverage, I would list it as negative. Then once you've done all of that, your third step is to look for patterns. Is there an area in your life that's better or worse than other areas? Are there areas that surprise you? Look for those and then think about what you want to do about that. And then decide on small adjustments. Don't get overwhelmed. You don't have to do all of these areas at once. And you don't have to address everything that came up all at once. You can add, maybe you just want to add to the positive. Can you spend a little more time with the fun folks in your life? Or can you limit some of the negatives? For example, I still had to go to work, but I didn't like the commute at all. So sometimes in the morning, I would say to myself, you know what? I don't have it in me this morning to take the highway. So I would just take the back roads, because that gave me a little bit of a positive boost to see the horses and hills, as my friend Kathy would say. Some tips for success are to choose one or two areas if a full audit feels like too much. And instead of just removing the negatives, you can put boundaries on. So for example, instead of removing social media, you could limit it. Instead of removing drinking completely, you could limit that as well. And a good idea is to keep this fluid. Revisit it every few months because your feelings might change. So for example, if in January you feel like spending as much time with your kids as possible is great, that may change in August once they're home for summer, right? And do all of this with self-compassion. No guilt here. There's nothing to feel guilty about what makes you feel good. There's nothing to feel guilty about what makes you feel badly. It's up to you. Let people do their thing. Let environments be the environment. And then you decide on what your exposure level is going to be to those things. Celebrate all the wins to keep yourself motivated and begin to create that intentional positive environment that will improve your life. So let's try a mini audit this week. Choose one or two things and let me know how it goes in the comments. And if you're feeling a positive about me, like I'm a positive influence, please feel free to like and subscribe. And I'll see you out there next week and beyond the threshold.